Everyone here today with Justin Gordon, his second time on the show. He is an awesome creator out in LA doing some really interesting things. I would highly recommend you go listen to the first episode from May. Did you say May is when we recorded that?
It might have been in May or June. Yeah, I
May
launched
or June?
newsletter in May and then June, I think it was. Yeah.
Okay, June. Okay, so go listen to the first one if you want to know what he's doing because it's super interesting and I'm stoked to have him. So thanks for coming back, Justin.
Yeah. And I appreciate the invite for round two. It should be fun.
I'm just excited to learn from you, so we might as well share it with everyone else. So okay, so the I'll just give the quick overview, or you kind of dig in. But you're running the main one that's probably of interest to people watching this is the LA Grind, which is the
Yeah.
local newsletter, but it's specifically for would you call it startup founders, specific, like not just business owners, like startup type
Yeah, I
business
mean,
owners.
I call it like startup community, and there's obviously adjacent people who are interested in that. So like ends up having
Okay,
a mixture, but yeah, the startup community. So founders, operators, and investors.
okay, so but not though like hey, I own a plumbing company in LA, like
Not the
generally, unless
focus
they're
at
super
all.
interested.
Yeah, but we've had people
Yeah.
who are like either at events or who are signed up, obviously, who are like interested in like the business side of things and what's happening in the world anyway. So like they kind of either come to events or sign up for the newsletter. But the core like messaging would be, are you a startup founder or
That's
operator
right.
or investor? Yeah, it's always the core.
Exactly. Yeah, like me a few years ago, I would have totally been interested in what you're doing, even though I wasn't a startup founder. I'm interested in the space. So, but you're just not targeting
Yeah.
those people. Okay, cool. So maybe just give a quick overview again of like, I don't know, this newsletter, this model, what it is at a high level, and then we can kind of dig into how it's gone the last few months. That it seems like you're crushing it. So,
Yeah. So it launched in May 19th was the first edition. Basically, it's a newsletter for, yeah, like local LA based startup community. So founders, operators, and investors. It has a mixture of events that are happening in the city. So all around LA, it has like the latest LA venture deals, career opportunities, like job postings in there. And also, I always have a section for like living in LA. So anywhere from a favorite restaurant of mine to fun events happening in the city, nothing related to startups, but just making it better to live in LA if you are a founder or operator and investor. And a lot of it we can get into with how, yeah, monetizing and all the things with it. But that's kind of the high level what it is. And I host a bunch of events as well, kind of bring those people together.
yeah. Okay, so you're sharing events that are just not yours, but then you also are hosting your own. So it's both, right?
Both. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Okay.
to me, it's like I want people to be able to be plugged into this community in whatever way, whether you're in South Bay, whether you're in East, whether you're in Santa Monica, all LA's so spread out. So there's a lot happening here all the time in different pockets. And so to me, there's one place where you can kind of just go to the LA grind, get access to all these events, see what's happening. And I don't include all of them. So I obviously see them from different sources and I curate the ones I think are interesting. And then if I get feedback from people who go to an event and like that was not good, I will just either not include it or I will deprioritize that as well. So I'm always trying to get feedback from people on the newsletter too.
Mhm. Okay. Awesome. Get what can you give the like overview of where you're at newsletter wise, like how many subs you have and then
Yeah.
how you're getting them?
Yeah, so last week, so we're recording September 25th. Last week I passed 5,000 subscribers. So it's about 5,200 subscribers as of today, September 25th. A lot of that through meta ads growth, organic as well. I do a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. To me, it's like the flywheel of finding sponsors, finding attendees, finding subscribers through LinkedIn. But anyone who runs like a newsletter knows it's just local is the kind of key thing in terms of leveraging meta ads to find those subscribers at scale. Because I knew right away from the beginning I was gonna eventually do that. I think I started maybe like month two or like a few weeks in running meta ads because I knew it was just the way to grow. I'd done that for my other newsletter, and so that's the growth mechanism is both of those. And it's just interesting flywheel of if you do events as well. There's a thing called Luma. Luma hosts events. They have their calendar and everything, and you can actually get subscribers from that too. So when you host an event, not only do you have like the signups from that, but you also get new subscribers from that, which has been super helpful too.
Nice. That's awesome. On the meta side, again, you were just starting, so I don't think we know. I assume your cost is going to be higher than most of us who are just doing it for general public. I'm curious
Definitely.
what you're getting subs for.
Yeah, so it started probably 50, 60 cents. It's gone up a lot since then, but I don't really care because the lifetime value is what matters the most to me. So like it's over $1 now, and I'm not testing a ton of copy and creative, but still converting leads. And those people are attending events, are interesting. 'Cause I know from Welcome Survey what they are in terms of like, are they a founder, are they an operator, are they an investor, what neighborhood do they live in? Like all this data is super helpful. And so even though it's more expensive than some. I've seen some of your
Okay.
customer acquisition costs and Meta are pretty insane. Targeting a startup community audience is definitely more expensive because of that. But the mixture of having they are still local and then they also are either in the startup community in some capacity, to me is worth paying a bit more for. And I also have the context of like when I was running Just Go Grind, really trying to grow that with Meta ads, my other newsletter, which was focused on like deep dives on world class founders, that was by the end of it closer to $3 per subscriber. So it's still like half of that, So to me, it's like it's amazing regardless. And you had this audience that's interesting. So it's been, yeah, that's the growth strategy so far from those.
Well, I would say again, I haven't done what you're doing, although I'm actually super interested in it. But if you're getting subs for $1 or even $1.50, I mean, that's way less than I would have thought. I would have thought you would have been in the higher too. So, and with how
Yeah.
high value of an audience that is, I mean, again, I'm happy to crap on my own situation. Like, I'd rather be paying $1.50 for that type of audience than paying 20 or 30 cents for our type of audience. That yours is more valuable. You're winning more than we are. I mean, it's just a fact. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's always trage-offs, right, on everything. If finding
Yeah,
the
yeah,
ways to monetize, finding like what the business is going to be is always the core piece of it. For me, I knew events would be like a massive part of it was going to be events, and also I knew from again having run other kind of business media properties, if you get the right people in the room, like on a newsletter list, in person, whatever, it's worth a lot. And so, yeah, I could do way more on testing actual copy and creative. Like I used to be at an agency a long time ago for like 3 months or 4 months, and like I know how often they test copy and creative. Every week, new versions and everything. And I get that. I prioritize my time differently because growth is not actually the key, like number one priority right now. It's a mixture of things, but because of that, it's like I still get subscribers. They're still $1.50 ish, maybe sometimes less, sometimes more. I'll eventually probably get that down again to a better level, but like to me, it's like if I pay $1.50 and that person comes to one event, like they already way more than paid for itself on a ticket fee or a sponsorship thing. So like there's so much to think about with that. But to me, it's been good to even get that $1.50. It's like it's great.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's so killer. This is why I want to have you on because I think more people in the right locations should do either. Well, what you're doing with the startup thing, that is very. You can. There's probably only maybe 10 places you could probably do that, right? You can't do startups Omaha. I mean, maybe you
Yeah,
could. I don't know, but I think you can do it business owner, right? I think you could do just like any business owner version, which I am really really interested in myself. Again, we talked last time. Ethan Brooks does it here in Austin where I am, so like he's already
yeah,
fresh, and it's not exactly what you're doing, but I feel like it's in the same vein.
yeah. I was gonna bring
Um,
him up. Yeah, yeah. He's great.
yeah, tell me. It's funny. I just saw his newsletter this morning, and the intro. He was like, somebody asked me, about the value of this newsletter and
Hmm.
wanted my take on it, and he was like, "Yeah, it changed my entire life." That was his answer, and he gave more detailed answer. But that was the first sentence. I'm like, "Yeah, I believe it, 100%." I think that's gonna be the
Yeah,
same for you.
yeah. I mean, it's been pretty insane the last 4 months. I mean, the fact that it's only been 4 months is crazy every single day I think about it because it's growing a lot since then, and the opportunities obviously are coming in and different things. And I'm thinking about where to take this directionally, and there's just so many routes you can go with it, especially when you
Mhm,
combine this kind of like local newsletter media property with in person. It is
mhm.
like in terms of events and everything, it's been absolutely insane. And now it's a matter of like, yeah, do I double down on this? Do I eventually launch other cities, which I'm thinking about as well? Um, yeah, it's a lot of ways to go with it, but happy to dive into anything that's helpful for the audience.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Again, when you build something with an audience, especially in your case, you have the high value and more like close knit audience. There, it gives you even more opportunity than we have. Now we already have a lot too, which is great, but because yours all they truly all want to meet each other, right? Like if you're a startup person in LA, like you want to
Yeah,
go meet other startup people. Just because you live in Leander and you like Leander doesn't necessarily mean you're excited to go hang out with other people. So um,
yeah.
yeah, I think there's a ton there. Hey, real quick, I want to ask you because I'm actually going to have her on next week. But did you see the release of the app called Dinner,
I,
DNNR? Do you know
I
about
did.
this?
I tested it
Okay.
once. Yeah,
Did you? Okay.
yeah.
Whether anybody uses that app or not, but just the concept seemed awesome. But also, I'm curious if that what you think about that, and is that kind of
Yeah,
what you're doing?
I mean, it's different from what I'm doing, but I actually used it. So basically, they were. She's gonna give the story, so I'm not gonna tell
Yeah.
all of it. But essentially, they're white labeling time left, which is a way to bring people together, get together with like five strangers. Is kind of the key thing. With them, it's like you leverage your audience to be like, for me, it'd be like get together with five people in the startup community, which is what we did. So I think we had three concurrent dinners on one night, so it was about 18 people, so six per dinner. And then how it works is basically as an event host organizer, you get a cut of the fee. So essentially you charge a ticket fee for like mine was like $20. So it's $20 to join it. They split the bill at the events and everything, but then dinner takes their cut from that. So that's how they make money. They want to focus on larger accounts. I know that's kind of their main thing, is like multiple cities, big accounts. So we tested it as like a pilot, just to kind of see what would happen. People liked it a lot. I just talked to someone yesterday, like the group, one of the dinner groups was at my mixer I hosted yesterday, and they like were raving about it. They're like, oh, it was so great. It was a lot of fun. We didn't know what to expect, but like it worked out well. And then they were all like friends at this event yesterday because they went to the dinner before. I'm kind of like doing that in some ways with, I can get into this, but I have a membership as well for the LA Grind. And so that the LA Grind membership is kind of that thing where people pay a monthly membership fee and they're getting access to events that are smaller and more curated, intimate like that. And so that's kind of how I decided to do it instead, as a membership fee.
Okay, interesting. I want to know. Tell me more details. What are they paying, and what exactly are they getting?
Yeah, so essentially, like, so using Luma on the back end, they have, it's not a great interface, I'll be honest, but they have a membership platform basically on Luma itself. So if you go to a Luma calendar, if someone has membership, so like the LA Grind's Luma calendar, you can see the membership options there. Someone's paying $29 a month. They're essentially getting access to 2+ events per month is what I promised them. And they also get either discounts or free access to other events I'm hosting. So other events I'm hosting charge a ticket fee anywhere between 20 to 40 plus. Some more premium events will be more than that. So like I have a holiday party in December coming up. That'll be a more premium event. That'll cost more money. Also has sponsors. But the people who are members, one, they're getting access to events, and two, they're getting more curated ones. Because what it allows me to do with someone having a $29 consistent revenue stream coming in is then I can do the work behind the scenes of organizing breakfast and coffees and dinners and all of that. So this week, for instance, we just did a breakfast in Culver City with a few members of mine, and then we did a coffee meetup a week ago with a few members in San Marino, so like east side of Los Angeles. They're paying for the membership as that. Basically, they're paying for getting access to interesting people, and then we just split the bill for whatever we're doing. So they bought their own coffee, all of that. Because if I pay for everything on top of it, then it doesn't make sense because it doesn't make money. So it has to be a business. So like, but then also for the mixer yesterday, for instance, the ticket cost itself by the end is $30. If someone's a member, they pay $29 a month. They get access to other events. Plus that event was free for them. So I had like 12 people from the membership come to the mixer yesterday for free, included in their membership. So the value is very clear. It's instant. I could just go sell it there and be like, hey, do you want to just like save $1 and also get access? Like, just sign for the membership. It's $29 a month. It's like nothing. So that's already a product that has like 37 members as of today. So 1,000 plus recurring revenue. And that's something I just like launched on a whim a month ago to be like, I need something subscription. Let's just see if people would pay for it, even with a very like not great landing page and see what happens. And people are still joining. And so they trickle in every month, promote it through the newsletter. I eventually will create like an actual landing page for it and like do more with it. But to me, it's just MVP right now. It's a very simple version and it gets people in for recurring revenue. And that is mostly profit on those, because sometimes, again, with the events I'm already paying for, it depends, but mostly just profit on that, which is an interesting part of like the business as well.
Yeah, that's super cool. I mean, I think long term, even regular local newsletters, I think there's a play for what you're describing. I think
100%.
it ends up being more about like discounts, and I guess that is what yours is, except it's discounts to your events, where I think in the regular local space, it ends up being more discounts to local businesses, restaurants, giveaways. You get access to all these things, right? I'm obsessed with this, like the Costco model, right? Which is like,
Yeah.
you just make your money on the subscription, and then you can bring all this value to people without having to make any money on it and give it out. So sounds like you're kind of just starting that journey right now, but I think that makes a ton of sense. The best part of your model is your people generally, I'm sure this is not 100% true, but generally are on the higher end of the income sphere. So $30 a month is just not a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense for I would sign up for that, right? If I was still
Yeah.
in LA, do that.
And that's like the entry model in terms of the starting point. Like I will probably create a more curated membership at a higher price point that is for either a certain level of business owners. Let's just, maybe it's like $1 million plus raised or revenue, and you only have, it's like $100 a month or $200 a month. And then I do host events for them as well. It's like, as long as I can front run it and have the means in the background, in the back end, to be able to fulfill it in terms of the events and organizing logistics and all that, it's good. But once you start already hosting events, then you know venues, you have relationships with sponsors. Like you just have all these things that then, okay, how do I apply it to other things? Well, if I had a membership, I already know the venues, I already know sponsors who can help with this. I already know like how to organize events. And then it just ties in, because then every week in the newsletter. It's just promoted from that, which makes it such an interesting flywheel. And so the membership just grows from that. Like I did some outreach. I did outreach maybe like a week or two ago, like one big round of outreach to like past events attendees, and that got a few people to sign up. But the majority just find it through the newsletter or Luma directly or from LinkedIn, and just like they keep trickling in. So to me, it's like the retention so far is like 99%. I think I may have had one person unsubscribe, but then wanted to get back in, which is the whole thing. I was like, yeah, you should have just stayed. But like essentially, like people aren't leaving either because it's such a low price point and the value is so clear. That's like okay. But then for me, I get recurring revenue because I want the business to be multiple revenue streams. I don't want to just have sponsors. I don't want to just have any one thing. And to me, that's like what I want to grow. Where eventually that covers all my costs, and then other things are just going on top of that to reinvest back in the business.
Totally. No, that sounds. I love that. I think you're spot on with that. I think that's going to be huge. And of course, you can just raise the price at some point. Maybe keep the people who came in early, let them stay at the rate,
100%.
and then increase it to 50, and then more. Yeah, because I think the values is completely there, 100%. One thing that concerns me about your model, for most people, and I'm curious how you think about this, whether it's good or bad. It sounds like you're basically an event planner at this point. Like, are you just constantly running around trying to figure out dates, locations, working with people? Like, that sounds kind of crazy. I mean, unless you enjoy it. I guess I'm curious how much effort you're spending on like event planning, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have asked me 2 years ago, because I did a bunch of events last year in a different capacity, but like I would say I hate logistics for events. Like I absolutely hate it. I do not like it. Which is ironic now. I do a lot of events now, but I try to always keep it low lift as much as possible. So that's the thing I think people get. They see my event list and they're like, "Oh my god, how are you organizing all these events?" And I'm like, I try to make it as low a lift as possible and like a big ROI for that. So like to me, to organize a breakfast, like what do you need? If you have distribution, all you need is create a Luma page, have it request to join, and then if people join, you have the location. You don't have to tell them location beforehand. There's so many ways to de-risk it and like make it where I just do that for every event now. Like
You don't
it's
even
super easy. For a lot of them, I don't until I actually have people sign up. Or I have a general location because of Los Angeles, so you need to know if it's on the west side or whatever. But I'll put like a filler location in, and then just fill it up from there. And so some events I do are free and just completely open. So like we have a hike coming up this weekend. People are just gonna show up. They have obviously I made a Luma page for it, but like they're just gonna show up and come to that, and it's free. So I don't get anything out of it like directly. But what ends up happening if you have a long-term view on these things is like if you're trying to build relationships, both with your readers, with people in the community, etc. I know people who've come to my hikes in the past, then come to other events if they meet good people. And then they also become sponsors if they like the people who are around it. Like, wait, actually, I want to sponsor because these are good people. And it's happened over and over and over again. So I host a free hike probably every like month or two or something. Something I want to do anyways. People want to get outside, like enjoy it. Like it's super low, like low key. It's been anywhere from like 5 people to like 40 people. And then people get value from that, and they end up either paying for event tickets to other events, becoming sponsors, becoming another good attendee for another event. Like it just works out really well. So I have this mix of like free, super low lift is a lot of them. And then having this paid events where the mixer I did yesterday is a ticketed event. And so it's like $20 early bird, $30 standard fee, maybe like a month before. And I also had 2 sponsors for it. And that event fills up every single month now. Like it's pretty crazy like with that. And so I am planning a bunch of things, but I try to find low lift. So even the event I hosted at that place, if you find a venue that has, for instance, you hit the bar minimum and that's all you need for the fee, way easier than a lot of these venues who charge like a $2,000 venue fee and all of this. So for me, what ends up happening is like I go with stuff like that where it's a low lift on my end, just had to hit the minimum and then we're good. Or simultaneously, ones that are a little bit more logistics planned, I either have a partner or like I've had 3 houses. This is kind of insane. I've had 3 multi-million-dollar houses offered for free as venues. People want to co-host because they've seen what I do and they like it. And I'm like, oh, cool. So that saves me a venue fee. We have a sick venue. And then either they have help on the back end with knowing people who can like be servers and everything like that to help out the venue, or I find people to help with that, find a caterer. Like it's not super crazy logistics on that. So it's way less work than people would think, but it obviously is work. And then I just like showing up to events and it's fun. So like to me, it's like, well, what do I want to do anyway? It's like just like meet interesting people that are ambitious in LA. I'm like, cool.
Exactly. Did we talk last time about, because we mentioned the house thing, which is just so cool, especially in a place like LA or
It's wild.
the west side of Austin where I am, like that there's a company called Astronomic that does that, right? Like they rent out they get the venues, I think, for free, because they're bringing such wealthy, smart investors and startup people, and then they do the event
Interesting.
at these houses that are empty anyways, right? It's just advertising for the
That's
realtor.
Yeah, I
So
realize. Actually, it reminds me I gotta follow up with someone. Someone I met recently at an event. They actually have like a few Airbnbs, that type of thing, where they have space, and it's like you want to host something here, just have to know ahead of time, and we can make that happen. And so to me, it's like, yeah, you always kind of take advantage of those opportunities because then you have a great place to host. That brings in a good crowd. That brings in sponsors. Everything kind of snowballs from there. And if you do it right and do a good event, give people like good shout outs and all that, well then people want to host again at the same place. Like they'll offer their home again. If you think short term, it's like, oh, a one off thing, it doesn't really work. But if you think long term with all of these things, what compounds over time, like invite those people to events, have good events for them, and they want to do more stuff together. And that to me is what kind of builds this thing over time.
totally, I think everyone, this whole model in general, my model and yours, is be thinking long term. If you're only thinking short term, it's probably not worth it. So the whole thing,
Yeah.
you got to think long term. But what you were saying too about the free events, I think makes so much sense. Which really, what you're talking about is that it acts like a funnel, right? You get people in for free into the funnel, and then they come down. But again, to your point, it's an easy funnel because you want to go hiking anyway. I'd rather hike with friends than
Yeah.
startup people than by myself.
Yeah, we've done everything, man. We've done so many different. I'm just starting to get into like some more logistically heavy ones coming up, which I can get into. But like for now, like I've done like everything from hikes to runs to basketball games to games of paddle to poker tournament to mixers to dinners to breakfast to coffees, like everything, man. In 4 months.
That's crazy. But it's because you have the right audience. These people are starved to meet each other, and so
And for context, like I did events last year, it was so much harder. I didn't have distribution for a local audience, which is the benefit. It was the whole point of why we're talking on this, like local newsletter, like the local newsletter, having the LA grind with 5,000 plus people. It's so much easier to get people to show up to things, like to want to be involved, to see the value of that. And I just leverage that flywheel again and again and again. And it's like, it's 5,000 people now. Okay. So in a year, what is it? 20,000, like 15, 20,000, like it's going to be even crazier. And like, then doing more logistically heavy events will be probably the next thing. I'm talking like a summit, like another founder retreat, like those types of things, which I'm curious about and could do soon.
I mean that. So actually, I'm curious. Yeah, let's talk about this because I find this really interesting. The I don't know if this is what you meant, like summit, but I think where a lot of events are going, I'm seeing them is this. Instead of the big, hey, there's 300 people or 1,000 people or 10,000 people, it's let's do 40 people between, or even as low as like say 10 to 50 people, and either they stay in this like one house if it's the smaller size, if it's a bigger one, they stay in like a boutique hotel, and it's very curated. Like in some cases you even have to like apply and get chosen. And I know in our space, Matt McGarry just did that with his. He did a new one with, I think it had 40, 50 people.
Yeah.
And I had done one in the same city. That's why I didn't want to go. I was just in Asheville like a couple months before that for another one where it was like 14 guys and we stayed in the same house and for the same purpose. It was just like really cool. So anyway, is that kind of what you're talking about? Is the more like smaller, intimate, where you really get to know people as opposed to a big event?
Both. The answer
Or
is both.
Okay.
So last year I did a founder retreat in Santa Barbara. I hosted one. It was 8 people, so me and 7 founders, and that was great. Like good amount of people. Every meal you had together is pretty easy to get 8 people. Anything above that's really tricky, but like 8's reasonable for like dinner reservations and all those things. And so that was a good amount of people. So because of the benefit of having local newsletter, again, mine's on Beehive, easy polling features. I use polls all the time. I just polled my audience and was like, do you want to do a founder retreat end of 2025 or like early 2026? Now people are interested in both. I actually list the price. How I do my polls is like do the price point, the type of thing, and see what people are interested, because I want to gauge demand, but also like what they pay, just so they know it's not like a $250 thing. It's just like 1,000, 2,000. Or do you want to do ultra premium? So I put the $10,000 option in there, and actually had 2 people interested in that too. So I'm like, okay, there could be something there as well. So I'm trying to figure that out. But essentially, one of the options I'm going to do is like a retreat. It's probably for founders. Realistically, might be a little bit more broad if you're like high level operators and stuff, and maybe if an investor wants to go. But like ideally, it's just for founders. And the 1 to 2K price point is pretty solid for people for like a 2-night to 3-night type of thing. And then basically, because I'm in LA, there's a lot of locations to drive to within a few hours, and so I'll probably do it either in Santa Barbara, Palm Springs, Lake Arrowhead, San Diego. Like there's always different locations that are Temecula within a few hours drive, and then you do that. You include everything. To me, the benefit of like this type of model is just get there and then it's all covered. That is like a easy mental thing because people
Yes.
are busy. Like I just want them to like not have to think about anything. So my goal with that would be that. And that would be a smaller group thing, like kind of what you're mentioning. So probably 10 to 20 people, maybe. It might even be a little bit less than that. But I also am interested in doing a actual summit, like a hundreds of people summit, working with a partner in the back end to be able to fulfill that because I do not want to deal with every logistical detail on the back end. But to me, in terms of again thinking longer term, to elevate a brand and take this to the next level, I'm already meeting so many people through the LA grind, through the events, everything. Those people can all either attend, be a sponsor, want to speak at a panel or speak at at the summit itself. And also because I was in venture capital for 2.5 years, like I know a bunch of VCs and know a bunch of founders through that. Had a podcast that has like almost 400 episodes, know a ton of people through that. Bring them all together in one amazing event, like, and do it annually, ideally, where it's like a 1 or 2 day summit. Work with a team in the back end to be able to fulfill it. So I think it's worth it to pay them to do it well, as long as the event is still profitable. I think that's what I'm leaning towards in sometime late Q1, maybe Q2 2026. TBD if it happens because it is logistically a lot. But that's kind of what's next in my mind right now.
I think that makes a ton of sense. I think that's going to work. I know for me personally, like the small group, 10 to 30 thing is like really impactful because for so many people, and I can be one of them. Sometimes I'm better, but sometimes I'm not. Where when there's two, even the newsletter room where you and I met, it's like, okay, there's 300 people there. It can be a little overwhelming. It's
It's a
easy to
lot.
go hang out in the corner, right? Where when you're in a house or a small room with 10, 20 people, like you're good to go. You're going to connect with everybody and build real relationships.
Yeah.
I moved to Austin because of one of these, because of people I met. So I'm very bullish on that. But again, the newsletter one we went to in Austin, which by the way, he announced is coming back, I think February. That was about 400 people, something like that. And that was still super valuable as well. Like, again, because it was newsletter people, it's easier to not get stuck in the corner for me.
Yeah. Different. I like having layers and thinking about your business and events and everything, just like different layers and different tiers,
Totally.
right? So for me, hosting events, for instance, someone in the east side is not necessarily going to go to the west side for an event. They might not. Same with the South Bay and other locations. Someone who plays basketball or plays paddle might not go to a mixer. Same thing, alternate. To me, if I offer a lot of different formats, you kind of hit on different audiences, but then they're collectively all subscribers of the LA grind. And then sponsors still want to reach those people. So like it's always a different group of people that show up to different things. If I can supply that for them at different types of venues, different types of outings, different numbers of people in terms of the size of the events, I'll attract different people. Then to bring them all together in like one culminating event a year sounds like an interesting, fun thing, even though it's gonna be a ton of work. If I can find a way to do it and still make it profitable and make sense for the business, but also that will drive the rest of the year, whether it be Q&A sessions to do with an investor later in the year or a founder session later in the year, event attendees later in the year. Like I think it will drive a lot for that. So I think it's worth it to be able to have some like one culminating event. And LA doesn't necessarily have that. Like we have LA Tech Week coming up next couple weeks from now, which depending on when this is out, it's in October. That's a massive thing with like hundreds of events going on, led by A16Z. That's interesting. Upfront, they're a venture capital firm here in LA. They have their big summit, but it's more selective. It's like very curated, not open to the public, all of that. So we don't have that like thing where it's LA startup community in spring, one event, one big kind of thing. They don't really have that. They have other events for different niches and stuff, but I think there's an opportunity to do it. And again, I would work with the team to be able to pull it off. I have two people in mind, two different groups in mind. I'm just figuring out if that is the route I want to go because it's a lot to think about.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're spot on in terms of the value of that and how valuable to you, but also to the audience. Like that sounds really cool. It does sound overwhelming to me, but you're obviously much further along than me on this, which is really cool. Hey, I want to ask you. Yeah, you mentioned this before, and if you don't want to dig too deep into this, I don't want to put pressure on you, but
Sure.
as I think and I am doing local newsletters for other people. I'm trying to build that even bigger to kind of have a licensing angle with other people. And you had mentioned kind of, I don't know if you said franchising or whatever, do more of these things. Again, I think this is so freaking valuable what you're doing. This is going to be crazy. When we talk in a year from now, it's going to be insane what you're going to say. So anyway, other people should be doing this, but they don't know what someone like you knows. So it would totally make sense for them to like work with you to do it. I don't know. How are you thinking about this in terms of growing outside of LA?
Yeah, there's a few things. One thing being like because I'm already working with so many partners as sponsors for events and the newsletter directly. I think that's already maybe 15 to 20 in the first 4 months. And a bunch of those are repeat sponsors already, which is great. A lot of those sponsors serve the same audience, whether that audience is in LA, in SF, in New York, in Austin, in Miami. They don't technically care. Some do like locally geographically feature that, but like they don't actually care. It's more like they know their target audience of people, startup founders, whoever is in LA for sure. To me, going into like an SF would be next because it's an obvious. It's so close. I could run both things for a bit. I think you need city leads in each city to be more of the face and be on the ground for events themselves. I think that would be the obvious thing. But to me, it's the partners I already have in LA. I'd send that out and kind of grow. It's like the land and expand. They're already sponsors and working with this audience in LA. Okay, cool. Do you want to work with SF in New York? Great. Like I just launched SF in New York. That to me is like a no-brainer eventually. And I do have the ambitions to do that. Like that's what I would like to do. I'm trying to be really focused to not kind of get out over my skis in LA first. But it is growing and I see the opportunity. And I'm also like, I don't want to waste that opportunity and have someone else do it better and someone else. Yeah. So I'm very much thinking about launching in those cities. And even if there's some other people doing it, which there are, I think there's always a way to do it unique and kind of your own way. So I am thinking of SF as the next one potentially because of location. New York is logistically a bit harder just because it's obviously farther away. But to me, how you could do this or how someone could do this as they want to expand is like, I'm doing events and a bunch of that as well. But if you look at as a business, the newsletter for me takes about 5 to 7 hours to write currently in the LA version. So let's say you could have someone else do that and write for me eventually, but as of now, it's just me writing it. Someone could do the same thing for SF and New York. Takes a similar amount of time. Not crazy. Talking 20 to 30 hours, maybe 40 hours a month. Not insane. I could start with events in SF, for instance, and just go up there once a month, once every 2 months, host 2 or 3 events in that one time frame, use the sponsors I already have in LA, then expand from there. And it's just a logical, like how this thing grows is not super complicated to me. So then it's like, well, just a matter of where you want to spend your time and how deep you want to go in one vertical of like doing more events, doing more things in one city versus expanding and be a little bit lighter in each city. But I'm thinking of it that way, like start in LA first, get everything set up here, which is getting there, but still got a ways to go. And then expand to other cities that you can kind of stamp out the same thing, run the same playbook, rinse and repeat in many ways. So that, yeah, they all have their differences, but yeah, rinse and repeat.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think there's a huge play here. I mean, again, it's the same problem I have, right? Which is like you see the opportunity, but then you drop the ball what you already have, right? And so it's that balancing act is difficult. I definitely struggle with that. So,
Wait, how do you? I'm curious. I know it's your show, but how do you decide which things to do?
I don't know. I just kind of I just go if it seems like a good idea, I just go after it. I'm at that point where it's like I just ready, fire, aim, right? So that's basically where I am. Although I talked to a guy yesterday who's extremely successful, not in local newsletters, but somehow in the local, in media in general, and he was like, if you keep doing what you're doing, the licensing model, build this out. He's like, don't do anything other than that. Like that's what you're focused on. So I'm kind of glad he said that, so I can stop thinking about digital marketing and some of these other things that make sense. But again, to the point, just because something makes sense in theory doesn't mean it makes sense for you to do as well as everything else you're doing, right? So I literally, before we jumped on, I messaged the digital marketing guy like, hey, I got a guy I'm meeting with next week who wants to do digital marketing. I want to just hand him off, right? So
Yeah.
I'm trying to get better, I guess is the point.
Well, yeah, to our point earlier. There's so many opportunities that come along with this, especially as you like are in this longer and longer. And there's a couple of things I'm like, I always test things, whether it be polls in the newsletter or like polls on LinkedIn or whatever. And I did a poll about like, should I just stick to the LA grind or should I launch SF? Should I launch New York or should I launch both SF and New York? And like 70% said like, just go grind. Sorry, LA grind, like stick to that, which I'm like, that's fair. But then there was a split between the other ones where I'm like, that's a significant.
They all live there. So like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but my LinkedIn is pretty spread from that. Obviously, there's a lot of LA people on that. This is like from the LinkedIn post, and I would say people like very much so are interested in other cities, which it's just a matter of like timing and like having enough bandwidth to be able to do it. Like we'll see. The other piece of it, which is a different type of business, different line in the business, is I'm super interested in recruiting. And so because I have startup founders and I have all these operators, while they inherently operators work for founders. Like it's an obvious thing to kind of get together. So I also pulled LinkedIn and just to get people's feedback on like, okay, if you're a recruiter, how would you work with me? And what would it look like? What would the potential like partnership look like? What the fee structure look like? All of that. Just give me specifics on like what you think and just pitch it to me. And like, we'll see what we can do. So I got a lot of responses. This is what happens. This is like a key thing for anyone posting something like that. I purposely in the post said, like, respond with specific things on how you'd work together, not we should work together. I have an idea. Let's talk. Because what ends up happening is if I just take all those chats, I literally will do nothing else all week. I get dozens of requests every single month. Like, it's insane. Like, the amount of requests is insane. So I have to try to be specific with that. And so I did get a few people, though, had given me very specific, like, outlines for how we could work together, fee structure, how we split the revenue, all of that. I'm like, interesting. And I will have a chat with all those people and then be like, is it worth it to do it as me just leveraging the newsletter as like those job postings are just our clients essentially? Do I just do a job board? Because there's like, job boards you can obviously use as a starting point at least. Do I just do a rev share with one of these recruiters where then it's like, cool, we'll take whatever the split is. We'll split the fee. A lot of times for a mid-level role, it's like 10 or 20% of first year salary is what they get paid, which is kind of insane. But like we could just split that fee or something and then just promote the companies and the jobs in the newsletter at events, however we want to. It's a big thing to think through how to do it, but that's one of the next things I'm working on is, okay, sponsorship revenue comes in for the newsletter, sponsorships for events, event ticket sales, what other types of things? This is one of the things I'm considering because it helps the community. I'm already meeting all these people anyways. I hear people who are raising money or hiring or looking for a role. And so I'm like, wait, I should just supply this. So that's one of the next things I'm thinking about doing as well.
I mean, that one is just such an obvious. I think there's no brainer for you to do that. 100%.
Yeah.
Do you know about the, I don't know if it's exactly this, but it might be interesting if you don't know about it. The newsletter called Next Play.
Yeah.
Do you know about them? Okay.
That's great.
So, I feel like, again, you're kind of talking about a hyper-local version of that, right? And I think do this. It's such a no-brainer. Of course, I think about the job board in the regular local space, and I think it's valuable. There are people doing it, and I do plan on doing it. But again, the value is going to be a lot lower than you who are looking for hyper-specific people. You have a hyper-specific audience that recruiters really want to get in front of that it's not easy for them to get in front of, and you make it easy.
Yeah, and I do think this hack of having events and hosting a bunch of events is that you get feedback from your readers, like actual conversations, not even just a data point of like a survey response, which is great as a starting point. Like polls are great, surveys are great, but I literally just talk to the people who are subscribed to my newsletter like every week because I host events every week. So I get feedback on like, this person's looking for a job, this person's hiring, this person's raising capital soon. Okay, cool. So they'll be hiring soon. And like, that's not like a publicly posted thing. This is just like in my head because I know from conversations where I'm like, oh, I can already list off like 5 people who are raising a seed round right now. Like that type of stuff is like not public. And then if you're a recruiter, well, where do you get your distribution from as a recruiter? Most of them are just like reaching out to people, cold emails and stuff and like trying to get that way or like trying to attend events. But if you're the host of the event and you also have distribution across the newsletter, there's gotta be a way to do it that like works well. And I know there's companies like Built In, so Built In LA, Built In Chicago, all of that, that obviously did a lot with recruiting and the job side of things. But I think when you combine hosting events all the time and really building more of a community and having distribution across the newsletter, I could do it in a different way that would be useful. So I'm really trying to think through that. But to our point of time, there's only like so much time a day. So it's like, do you commit to like a big summit, get recruiting figured out first? There's like all these different things. So I'm trying to weigh those big ones while also kind of keeping the trains in the track with the newsletter content itself, sponsors, keeping them happy, keeping the events rolling already. And then, one other kind of obvious things is just doubling down on, do I do more than one edition a week? So is there an opportunity to do 2 editions a week where it's like I feature founders in the other edition? That's kind of what I thought about as well, which is a whole other thing.
No, that's super interesting. Are you leveraging I assume you have I'm trying to remember. I think you have a good survey, right? Like you have a detailed survey that you're asking all those questions. Do you leverage that at all for segmentation? Do you like email, whether it's sponsor content, whether it's asking questions, whether it's pushing them in any way? Do you do that at all yet?
I haven't yet, but I've leveraged that in a not unique, but like, I think it's a smart way to get sponsors is I just post that every week. So what I end up doing, so even more than showing, I just like, I haven't done it more recently, but I basically would just on LinkedIn say what the emails, how many subscribers I have now for the newsletter, how many survey responses I have, where they live, like top 5 places they live, what they're saying for events, all this stuff. And like, I got a lot of sponsors through that, which is like a secret that like, people see that. And that's why I post it. Like what ends up happening is sponsors see the growth of the newsletter because I show the growth month, like week over week. They see the type of people who are on it because I say percent founders, percent investors, etc. They see neighborhoods. So if they're in real estate or something, they could see the neighborhood they're in. And they can just see that there are like 2,000 people that have filled this out. So I just texted a friend of mine today, actually. I'm trying to get a real estate sponsor for the entire 2026. So I'm trying to line up annual sponsors for next year because we're about to approach Q4. I figured this is the time to do that. And I want a real estate sponsor that just like is exclusive. One real estate sponsor for the whole year in the newsletter, like every edition, like that type of thing. And I showed him both a poll I did with a home ownership poll I posted a month ago, knowing that I was eventually going to get a real estate sponsor. I was like, I should do a poll soon. And I know they own a home. They're looking for a home now, looking for a home in next year, looking for a home soonish. Like I know that from the poll. It's not a huge amount of responses, but I know that from that. So I just took a screenshot and sent it over to him. And then I also looked at my survey responses and said what neighborhoods they're in and just took a screenshot of that and sent over like, here's neighborhoods people already live in currently. So they know it's like Beverly Hills, like all these nice places. They can see people are in those neighborhoods already. And obviously you don't know if they're looking for a new home or not, but you know geographically where these people are. And if it's in the audience where they want to reach in terms of where people are, it's worth it to them. So I'm trying to line up a pretty big sponsorship for that in 2026, which TBD on that, but I think it's because of the data. That's how I'm using it in that way.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome. One other thing that's I feel like tangentially related to what you're doing that just has me really, really interested or intrigued is how much do you know about what Ted Williams is doing with Tiny Money?
Yeah, I love it. Tiny Money is great.
Yeah.
I don't know a ton about the back end, but I do know I am subscribed to the newsletter.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I know as well, I did talk to him for a few minutes. Super nice guy. He took my call and chatted, gave me some great advice. But he had posted on Twitter his numbers, and his numbers are outrageous. Like 75% open rate, 25% click rate. Like what the holy crap?
Absurd.
Yeah, but it seems to me of like it's not what you're doing, of course, but it's like an in between what you're doing and what I'm doing, right? So it's like hyper local, but it's like if you're interested in money, as what he calls it, but like business or money, right? And again, I think this would only work in bigger cities. I wouldn't do it in Leander. I think it could work in Austin, right? And I guess I'm curious what you think about that because his seems again, it's like morning brew but local, let's call it, right? And so you can feature local people, you feature local jobs. Again, coming back to what you talked about, the job board thing, I feel like he must be making good money there. The ads you're targeting, assume you're, just guessing here, but say your average readers are making 6 figures or more, like your what you can get for ads is way higher than what we can get, right? So I don't know. There's just something really interesting about what he's doing, and again, he's only doing it in one city, so of course my brain. Goes to all the other
I mean, I'll shout out Ted. Yeah, he's been great in terms of like just from the outside, just seeing what he's done. So I obviously subscribe to Tiny Money to see. I subscribe to a lot of local newsletters and like obviously just researching for myself to be like what formats I like and what are good and all that. And his is amazing. Has a great amount of obviously engagement. It's insane. That's part of it. But also that tweet he had from a long time ago about like buying the Charlotte Observer. What he'd do, like he wants to buy it for $5 million or something. And he listed all these ways of like things he would do with it and everything. I feel like I just looked at it like yesterday or something again because I have it saved somewhere. I think I use Readwise to save. Have you heard of Readwise?
I signed up for it because you told me. Yeah.
Right. So I use it to save tweets and stuff, and his is one of the ones I save and I have it like repeat. So like I use it for tweets as well. So like I had that one as a recurring thing. So I just popped up in Readwise recently to look at his stuff as well. So I've seen the things he's doing. I think it's super smart. Obviously, he like has been successful in the industry. I think any combination of like local plus business, local plus money, local plus something is very intriguing. The price CPM wise is like crazy. And also like I haven't really taken advantage of any like local sponsors yet. It's all been just startup focus mostly. The real estate thing is the one I'm just now starting to get into, like actual local business, like local focused businesses. That is then like for me, the LA grind, you get both then. So I get both the startup founder advertisers and also get the local advertisers because there's also 5,000 people in Los Angeles that are on this list. So like I'm like double dipping, which is I think super interesting. And then obviously the sponsorships and newsletter is, very high margin. The events are different because the events cost money to put on. But those are still a great profit as well on those ones, depending on how you structure them. But I think what Ted's doing is great. I think, like I said, the combination of the local plus something else is great. And then just figuring out what you're willing to do on a business model perspective to make it work, which, man, events have crushed it, man. It's been crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I was in actual Austin, and I wish Ethan wasn't doing what he was doing, because I would love to do what you're doing. I'm just too far out in the suburbs, and there's just not enough people who would be interested in what you're doing. But
Yeah.
I
But
love it.
I think you're underestimating that the hunger for events of some sort is pretty high.
Yeah.
So like I always give the
I
example
agree.
of Base. Base.club is a venture-backed startup. I know Caben's the founder. They raised some money, maybe raised a seed round. They started with like curated dinners. So it was like their whole theme was great minds meet here. And they started these like curated dinners. And they very quickly got to like 20 or 30K in recurrent revenue because they charge $100 a month. People who are members, they split the bill. So Base is not paying for that. What Base does is Base curates the people, they curate the venues. It's a very ops heavy business on the back end. It's obviously hospitality, but they started in Miami. They're in like maybe 6 cities now. But to the point we were talking before about dinner, that app, I think you could set up something for dinners, for breakfast, for something that people would pay a subscription for, even in a smaller city, to be able to do something like that. Where like getting together consistently with interesting people. I 100% think that will work in a smaller city. Like, I don't think you have to be in a big city for that.
Oh no, I totally agree that there is a play here. I'm thinking about it a lot. That's why when I saw the dinner thing, I messaged Ray, the CEO, immediately
Yeah.
to get her on, because I do think there's a play there. It wouldn't be startup founders, right? It
Yeah.
wouldn't
Yeah.
be the type of, like, I'd rather be at your events than like the type that I would host. But I
Yeah.
still think there's value there. I was even talking to my wife about it. Okay, what if you did a mom's
Come
one,
on.
right? So
Yeah.
moms. Obviously, the one that I would do and do want to do is the business owners, right? Even if you own a plumbing company, right? Just local business owners. You could do a
Yeah.
dad's one. I tried to build this literally 3 years ago. I tried to do this concept with dads. Guess what the problem was? I had no distribution, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I
But you could
agree
do
with
it
you. I think
with business owners and even in a suburb, couldn't you? There's
yeah,
tons of
I
local
can.
businesses. Yeah. Yeah.
100%. I literally, this is part of my vision, is to do me, like, if you think about local meetup groups for business owners, BNI being the most obvious. Like,
Yeah.
it sucks. It costs money. It's annoying. You have all these requirements. And then you get these ones that are too casual. Like, there's one in my area. It's like, oh, just show up for coffee from 8:30 to 9:30. And it's usually the same people there every time. And there's no structure at all. And I think
Yeah.
there's a perfect middle ground there, right? Take the Nick Gray type of, name tags, and we're
Yeah.
going to blow a whistle every 15 minutes to get people to chat with other people. Like, maybe not that, but whatever, like a little bit more structure. And I don't totally think there's a play there. I want to do this again. I'm just too distracted. So I agree with you.
Well, I mean, there's always the prioritizing of depending on where you're at with the business, and like if you're doing this full time versus if you're doing this as a side hustle, it's different. You can kind of approach it different. I, from the very beginning, wanted to make this a full time thing, so I think I approach things differently in that way of like, let's go super hard at it and see what we can actually do. So, spending money on meta ads pretty quickly, like a few weeks in, going hard at getting sponsors, hosting a ton of events. Like, it's fun. Like, I just having a ton of fun with it, but obviously it's been a lot of work. And early on, it was like, I wasn't sure if this was going to be a thing or not. So I had looked at some job stuff because I was considering kind of switching a bit. But now as continue to grow, like, I just post on Twitter. It's just like growing revenue every month. It's like it just keeps stacking on top of each other, and it's gonna be different because a lot of my event revenue maybe in December or November is less because of holidays. So I'm kind of realizing that, but also every month, if you keep going, you have more partners that you get to work with. More people know about the newsletter, so more people can attend events. The newsletter itself is sponsored. Like, I'm booked out for sponsors through November for the newsletter. Like, it's just like, everything just kind of keeps compounding. So you just kind of stay alive and keep growing it. And so that's been kind of insane. Like, 6-figure run rate very early on already, which was like crazy.
That's so crazy, man. And you
Yeah.
you just started. Seriously,
In
that's why I
May.
told you. Like, yeah, imagine 12 months from now. Like, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be wild. Like, we're in September, so yeah, this quarter has been insane. This quarter has been, from a revenue perspective, insane. Events, tons of them. But like, I feel like the seeds are planted for partnerships and things that are happening in the future. That's going to be the core of it, and then always trying to like learn from people, whether it be in the Slack groups or obviously through this podcast, all the media stuff, there's so much happening in local and media in general. There's like a lot to learn from. You take things from other people. I just talked to a guy you interest me to, who has the local podcast thing. Like that was interesting as well.
Yep.
Yeah, just to see different ways to go about it. But it just depends on what you want to build. But local is such a benefit to have it.
And that's why I feel like you're riding you're riding two waves, right? Like there's the wave of local. You're riding the AI wave both directions, right? There's the AI wave that is making people like, in a negative way, like not trust what they see on the internet, which is what's pushing them to local. So you're riding that wave. But then you're also riding the wave of all the people who want to make money on that AI train. So you're riding both angles in the upward direction, which I feel like is difficult to do. And
well,
you found it.
There's also like the whole way with AI of like, well, if businesses they're trying to figure out AI in terms of using it to obviously like create content, get leads, do all these different things with AI to grow a company. But also because of that, they know their customers are in person. So if they just meet their customers in person, they're like, wait, I can just like pay for dinner, get in front of like 12 potential customers, and can I close one or two? And there you go. If you know the lifetime value of your customer, you're like, wait, that actually makes sense for just spending it on like Facebook ads or whatever. Like you obviously, a lot of these companies, depending on who they are, how big they are and who they are, they do both. But I think more and more companies I am seeing just from working with them as partners, they have some type of in-person strategy, whether it be directly sponsoring events, doing their own events, something. And so as a local operator, knowing that is interesting, especially if you serve any B2B audiences or in a bigger-ish city. But even if you're in a smaller city, like how do people get in contact with their customers? If you're doing in-person stuff, you provide that venue and then you just keep playing around with like sponsorship prices, ticket prices for people who want to come to those events. I just think the opportunity is pretty massive. And like, I'm just getting started 4 months in, but I can already see like where this gets pretty big pretty quickly. And then you can, if you want to expand to other cities, more complexity. I'm not 100% sold, but I'm pretty sold on doing it. Just like, if it's still fun, I'm going to keep doing it. So that's why I'm like, I think expanding could be fun. So yeah, it's been interesting so far.
Yeah. Well, Justin, this has been awesome. I'm super excited for you. I think I'm truly excited to see where this goes, because I think it's going to go in directions you don't even know. You're going to have that problem of too much good opportunity, right? So anyway, it's going to be fun to see. So thanks for coming on. Tell everybody if they want to, anybody in LA, especially if you're listening to this, subscribe to that newsletter. But
thelagrind.com. Super easy. Everything from there. Once you sign up, like all the events are posted through Luma, but I host some events that are not on Luma. So everything ends up being in the newsletter, goes out every Monday. Maybe eventually end up doing a second edition, would be like a Thursday or Friday, but that's the easiest place to find me. I always have, we talked about last time, always have serendipity calls at the bottom of every newsletter. People can just book a call with me. I still do 4 calls every single week, which has been very interesting. And so I still have that newsletter. That's the easiest way to contact me. But yeah, I appreciate you having me back on the show, man.
Of course, I'm happy to. And I hope to have another one with you, not in a year, maybe sooner. Because again, I know it's going to get even crazier in just a few months. So
love it. We'll do it.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin.
Thank you.
See ya.